What's up, sweeties? It's TeeElle and I'm back with another one. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Come on and join the topic of the day.
Cause I'm crazy and I'm sexy and I'm cool. Little rub around the edges, but I keep it smooth. I'm always left and center, and that's right where I belong. I'm the random man, and don't you hear it? Major song, and I like that.
So this is a long overdue topic. Excuse me because I'm under the weather, so my voice is very raspy. But a very sensitive topic to many, not so much me anymore. It did take me a while to put this video out simply because I didn't know what to say. Like, there's stuff, I want to educate you on this topic, but let's just get into it. So basically, as you can see by the title, this is called Hidradenitis Suppurativa. Some people call it Hidradenitis Suppurativa. We just call it HS. Excuse me. It is a chronic skin condition. So basically, you get lumps, blisters, pimples, lesions, whatever you want to call it, in places that tend to rub together on your body. So your thighs, under your boobs, your armpits, groin area, just places that tend to rub together, and that sweat a lot. That's where you would get these bumps, lesions, pimples, all that stuff. They're caused by inflammation, basically, and the bumps come in a result of infection of like sweat glands. So for hidradenitis suppurativa, it can last months or it can last even a lifetime for most people. And it's caused by obesity, smoking. It could be genetic, hormonal, or it can also include environmental factors. It is not caused by poor hygiene or sexual intercourse, or nothing like that. So to get right into it, first I want you to comment down below if you've ever heard of this disease, or if you currently have this disease, or if you had this disease. Like I said, it's very sensitive for a lot of people, and I'm going to start by saying I'm in year 10, moving to year 11 with this skin disease, and the road was not easy at all. Like at all. Still isn't. So when I was pregnant with my daughter 10 years ago, I was 20 years old, basically 20 years old. I'm 30 years old now. And towards the middle of my pregnancy, I started to notice like razor bumps on like my bikini line area. And so what it looked like was somewhere like, at first it was like bumps, and then I noticed that when I went to deliver my daughter, I ended up having to get a C-section. So the nurse, she went down there because they have to shave your area down there for the surgery, and she was so happy that I had shaved already. So the doctor ended up coming in, and he went to go check, see where the baby was at and everything, see where my daughter was at inside of me. And I asked him at that time, I said, do you know what this is? Because at that time, it was more like a blister that wanted to bust, and it was painful as heck. And so he's like, it looks like it's just come from shaving. I'm like, okay. So he's like, try to switch up your razor blade or your the brand that you're using when you're shaving. Try shaving cream, do all this and that. And so I'm like, okay. And so some time had passed by, and I'm going to say after my daughter, I began to gain weight, and that's when I began getting bumps on my thighs, like nice big bumps. You can actually feel it about to come through. Like it's a nice big bump, like this big I'm talking. And you could feel it about to come through. My thighs was rubbing together, could barely walk. And at that time, like the groin area had kind of cleared up, but then it moved to my thighs. And I'm like, yo, like this is horrible. I can barely walk. It was just a lot. Keep in mind that I was a cheerleader from age 5 to 18. So my body was always up and moving. I was always a nice size. I was never like overweight or anything like that. So my body was in good shape. I had a nice body. Still do, please. But yeah, my thighs started rubbing and I started getting big bumps on my thighs, and I started to get like blisters, and they used to bust, and I used to have a lot of pus and blood coming out. And at this time I still didn't know I had this disease. Okay. And so I remember going to the doctor. I forgot for what. I think it was to see about birth control or something. She asked, she's like, do you want your boyfriend to stay in here? My husband at the time was my boyfriend. Do you want your boyfriend to stay in here or exit out the room? I said, he can stay here. And so she was down there doing what she was doing. And she's like, yeah, I have to ask you a few questions. And I'm sorry, at this time I had a blister on my panty line, like my panty line area. And so she's like, I have to ask you a couple questions. Would you like for him to stay in here? Or would you like for him to leave? I'm like, I ain't got nothing to hide. Like, basically, I'm like, I'm saying some thinking to myself, like, I ain't got nothing to hide. He can stay. I'm like, he can stay in here. I'm fine with that. She's like, are you sure? I'm like, yes. Like, I'm thinking, like, girl, what do you keep asking me this for? And so this lady asked me, she's like, have you ever had herpes? And I'm like, no. Like, why would you ask me something like that? I'm thinking to myself, like, why would you ask me? I'm like, no. And my boyfriend looked up, and I looked at him, he looked at me, and she's looking at these bumps, and that's when she wrote me a script to go see a dermatologist. And I'm thinking to myself, what's going on? And keep in mind, like, when you're pregnant, they test you for all that stuff. Like, they test you for STDs. They test you for all that stuff. And so I knew from the jump, I'm like, so I'm starting to think, like, did this mother step out on me? Like, did he got somebody he's messing with? And and so I got retested and did all that stuff, and everything's great. And so I'm just like, this shit must look bad for her to ask these, like, a nasty ass question like that. And so I ended up going to the dermatologist, and at that time, I want to say I was about 24, maybe. At that time, I was told I had Hidradenitis Suppurativa. And I'm like, yo, so I had the skin disease for this many years and never knew. But it was never that bad. Like, I never had bumps, like, galore. Like, I had some here and there, like my thighs, my groin area. But not like that. And so, 24 years old, I found out I had this chronic skin condition. And so, I ended up getting pregnant again with my son, and everything was, clear. We went to Jamaica, had a wedding reception in Jamaica. At the time, I was 8 months pregnant, and I didn't have any issues. Like, I had my arms all out, I had swimming suits on. I was fine. I didn't have, my thighs wasn't horrible. I had, like, dark marks and, like, scars, a few scars. But other than, I didn't have, like, any open wounds or anything like that. And so after I had my son, I ended up getting a breast reduction because my chest was huge. I had eye cups. That's how big my chest was. And I remember before going into my surgery, I ended up getting like blisters on my boobs. So I would lift my boobs up, and under my boobs would be painful blisters. It was to the point where I would have to wear 2 bras, one because it hurt to wear like a wire bra because of the blisters, and 2 because my chest was so heavy. My chest was super duper heavy. And so I would wear 2 bras. The first bra would be one that's very comfortable, just like one without a wire, nice cotton bra that felt good in that area on my boobs. Then I would have over top of that a wire bra for support. So I had 1 bra for comfort and 1 bra for support to try to lift my eye cups up. And so basically when I went in surgery day or wanted to visit the surgeon, I asked him at the time, I said, well, when you perform surgery, would you be able to remove these blisters? And he's like, I can remove them. They'll be removed, but I can't promise you that they're not going to come back. I'm like, okay. And so I ended up getting a surgery. I haven't had any, up to this day, I haven't had any more blisters on my chest area. But if I like lift my bra and I have like a lump, I'll have lumps and stuff like in a crease, but nothing like blisters, just like a lump. So that's that part of it. I will post the picture here. So this one's not horrible, but the further I get into this conversation, you may want to turn off, click off the video if you have weak stomach, or if you don't want to see I'll get to it. But I do remember like the center part right here, which I still have a scar, opening up. So it was basically kind of like a hole, and it would leak fluid and blood, and it was painful. So I would have to put like a Band-Aid going down the middle of between my cleavage area. And then it created a tunnel to another hole. So it skipped the space and created another tunnel. And I remember going to the doctor, asking like, do I need like another surgery, or like what's going on here? And she wanted to make sure that basically the holes met each other and it didn't, like they weren't 2 separate holes. So she had to take a long Q-tip, kind of like the ones that used for COVID, like a COVID swab or a flu swab. And she had to stick it through this hole, go down, and make sure she was able to see it through the other hole. And she had to pull it back out. And when I told y'all that pain was, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. So some years had passed by, and within those years, I would get like 1 blister now on my armpit. And I'm like, all right, it's moving on up. Like it's moving to another location. And so it'll only be on my left armpit. So I would get 1 here and there. The same one would leave and come back, leave and come back, leave, come back. And then I would get another one, like a different area of the same left armpit. Sometimes one would leave, one would come, one would leave, one would come. Sometimes they both would be there, and it was extremely painful to try to lift my arm, because imagine a blister, or even when a blister pops, and at that point it's an open wound, and open wounds are sticking to your skin, and you're trying to lift your arms, and it's just kind of like pulling the like your flesh. And so I'm like, all right, this is bad. But I was also happy because I'm right-handed, and so I was glad that I could still operate with my right hand and, do everything I needed to do. So now we're going to get a little deeper into it, and I'm going to start posting pictures. So again, if you have a weak stomach, go ahead and click off. But they're bumps. There's they're bumps. Okay, they're open wounds. So if you have a weak stomach, when you look at open wounds, then I suggest that you first like the video, put some praying hands in the comment section, leave me a positive message in the comment section, subscribe to my channel, click the bell, and click off. But thank you for watching so far. If you're still rocking with me, I appreciate you. Also, can you please give me a thumbs up? leave me a praying hands and positive message in the comment section, not just for me, but because I want to make sure that all women and men, whoever that carries this disease, can see these positive messages, because I will get into the mental part of having this disease as well, more towards after I get done with my story, which is also part of my story, but I'm going to save that until after I tell about my armpits here. So yeah, so basically the lesions begin to move around. So I did hear that the last thing you want is for it to create a tunnel, which means it'll have one bump and it'll go under your skin, and it'll create another bump, and it'll just be one long thing at the end of the day, basically. The bumps begin moving to my right armpit as well. And ooh. Basically, July 4th, 2021 is when my body took a turn for the worse. It was for the worse. We ended up having a 4th of July kickback here, 2021. And here I had, it kind of looked like a blister that I just busted. But here I had a huge bump this big. And I'm going to post the picture right here so you can see it. So once I had fun that night, I was sweating galore because it was hot as heck outside, dancing, having drinks, you know, overweight and overheated. The next morning I ended up waking up and I seen that this one, the big one, had kind of, it was different looking. And I began just crying. I just cried to my husband. I said, I don't understand why I have to go through this. A lot of times I would cry because, one, I'm in pain. Two, it was ugly. 3, I have to live with this because these scars they're not gonna go away. 4, another thing is they want you to take doxycycline for 3 months at a time, and I'm not one to really want to put medication into my body, especially for 3 months. That's not me. So just a combination of things. It was just weighing heavy on my mental, but I want to get into the mental part of it in a little bit. But from that day, from that 4th of July day, both of my arms just started going downhill. And I'm going to just post pictures because this is like, it goes from July. I have pictures from August, September, like it just goes. So go ahead and take a look at these pictures for a minute. So there's a picture in here where you see a big rectangular dark mark, excuse me, and that comes from wearing Band-Aids. So you're not supposed to wear Band-Aids. You're not supposed to shave. You're not supposed to wear a deodorant. You know, there's a bunch of, you're not supposed to wash with a bacterial soap in these areas. You're supposed to wash with an antibacterial soap, preferably Dial, no scent. However, I do use Dial. I have started using Dial Lavender just to help out with the smell, because my the stench that comes from my armpits, or it's very bad. It's very, very bad. And I also don't like to go to, you know, work in places out in public, just funky like that. But there's nothing I can really do besides wash good, pat dry the best I can because it's painful to touch it. It's gotten so painful that I use my hand. I put the soap in my hand and I kind of wash, and then I'll go over it with the rag and pat. Or sometimes I won't use a rag, I'll just let it wash off. You want to kind of not scrub the dirt, but you kind of do. So I'll go with a rag and try to gently wash. But when I tell you that I can't really say there's no pain greater than this, but like I'd rather have 10 kids and natural. I can't even say that because I never had a kid natural, but I don't know. Toothache, something, I'd rather deal with all that, knock on wood, because I heard toothaches are bad, but I'd rather deal with all that instead of this shit right here. But, yeah, so I used the Band-Aids to kind of soothe the pain. Imagine having open wounds that are just completely itchy. You can't scratch them. So the Band-Aids left marks as well because I used them so many times, but then I contacted another dermatologist. I've seen several dermatologists. So I contacted another dermatologist, and he said to kind of leave the Band-Aids out unless you have an open wound and you're going out in public, then use a Band-Aid to cover it up. Or I know some people use pads to cover it up, or you can even use gauze, but you don't. The thing is, I try not to use anything that's going to stick to the wound because that's painful to pull it off. So he said unless you go out in public, you don't want dirt to get into it, so put the Band-Aid there. But other than that, just leave it free. At the time I was on a doxycycline, so he's like, it's gonna clean out any infection. It's going to heal things, you know. So I'm like, before he told me that, I'm like, so what could I use if I'm not using Band-Aids? What could I use? Because skin to skin, when my arms are down, skin to skin, any movement, any tiny little movement is going to really hurt me bad, real bad. And he's like, put Vaseline. I'm like, isn't that going to clog it? And that's when he told me, like, no, the Vaseline's not going to clog it. It's going to help, you know, it can help a little bit, try to soothe the movement, try to soothe your wounds and the movements that you make. But that's when he told me when I was on that doxycycline that's going to really clean out any infections that you may have, may have, and kind of like cure or heal. I'm sorry, there's no cure for this disease, but it's going to close up your wounds and, you know, release these lumps and lesions and blisters and all kind of things like that. And so I took the doxycycline for a little bit. It didn't really work. I've used, excuse me, they prescribed me different like soaps and lotions and things like that. Nothing works. Like I said, you're not supposed to shave, but I do use this razor. It has like a short part and a longer part if you kind of just want to trim, which I kind of do. So I did that this morning, only because the hair really locks in all that funk and that pus, and it makes it more itchy because I sweat, and it's just a lot. So I try to not go so much against my skin, but I try to go like as close as possible to get the hair out of there. And I had to work around. I'm going to show you guys my current wounds to this day. Today is what, January 3rd, I believe. Today is Tuesday, so whatever today is, January 3rd, I think. But I'm going to show you my current wounds too. But yeah, so I try to use like a razor. I got this from my local dollar store. It was like $9 from Dollar General. So I have a few of those because they did offer, like I did ask about like shaving and stuff, which they told me not to do. And then they mentioned like laser hair removal, and I don't know about that either. Yeah, it's a lot, y'all. So I use that. I have a few of these razors for different parts of my body. So I have one for my armpits, which I sanitize after each use it on this one, sanitize, then use it on that one. I have one for my privates, and I have one for like my my legs, and any facial hair. But yeah, I do recommend that. But first, of course, check with your dermatologist if you are experiencing this chronic skin condition. I'm just happy to be talking about it now. Now, what I do want to get into is the mental part of it, and then I'm going to show y'all my current wounds. So when I first kind of found out I had the disease, and then when it first really affected me bad, when like I was so happy that I got a breast reduction, and like now I could wear like certain outfits and stuff like that. But then once the disease started to worsen, I then felt like, damn, like now I'm limited again. I can't wear certain things. I can't wear tank tops. And when I did go like to like a baseball game, I wore a tank top, but then I put a Band-Aid over it, so it just looks real tacky, funky, and disgusting, in my opinion, about myself. I'm talking about myself. And like going to like the water parks with my family, and like having Band-Aids, and then I would put on a cover up, and then it was just a lot. It was a lot on my mental. A lot of days, I do believe that this disease didn't cause me like a long-term depression, but I had my days where I was just so depressed, because even still, a lot of days I can't even lift my arms. Like, like at my job, I told them, I said, listen, y'all's gonna have to lessen my hours per shift, because I can't really lift. I mean, I didn't go into detail about it, but I told them because of health reasons. And that's the honest to God's truth, because I tell y'all, a lot of days I just lay in bed and don't want to move, because I know I can't do shit. Like, I can't lift my arms. Like, I love to move my furniture around. Like, even like washing clothes, I gotta lift up in my laundry chute, and like just doing like whether you lift up, down, any sort of movement, most of the time, 95% of the time, even still, is painful as beep. Excruciating pain. Wouldn't wish it on nobody. Wouldn't wish this disease on nobody. So, yeah, like even now, like I'm moving my arms, but you see, I'm barely letting this crease here, like I'm barely letting it lift, because it's painful. So I can do this not all day, but I can do this, but I'm not moving right here, you know? And how much can you do? You know what I'm saying? How much can you do without releasing this, like lifting? How much can you do? So a lot of times I'm just kind of like this, and then I kind of lift slow. But y'all, it's really bad. So yeah, a lot of days I had my days where I was really depressed. I cried because I couldn't do anything. I felt like helpless almost, you know, like basic things, sweeping, mopping, folding clothes, washing the dishes, doing my hair. My gosh, doing my hair. I had to go buy a wig, because I'm like, yo, I can barely lift my arms to do my hair. So I tried to keep it in like a ponytail, something I can just tie up and just let it fall the next day. Something that I can keep, I don't have to keep going back to really lift my arms and do my hair. I bought a wig so I can just put it on and go. Like, there's not much I could really do. I'm not going to let that stop me from living, but I'm also a person that moves around. Like, I gotta be up doing something. And I think that's where the depression had came in. Like, I felt like you're not doing the goddamn thing. Like, you're failing, you know, because I'm always used to being up doing something. And my body just was not, and sometimes still is not, allowing me to do that. So if you're a person that has this disease, keep your head up, keep moving, just do the best you can. You're not dirty, you're not funky, you're not none of that. You're just simply another person like me who has a chronic skin condition. And I would say that my condition is at its worst. Period. And basically, let's talk about the beauty of this, though. Let's talk about the beauty of this. I've gotten to a point where, you see what I got on? I got on a cute little bralette top. My arms are out. I've gotten to the point where I'm like, this disease will not stop me from living. I did a Shein haul like a year ago. And I was so proud of myself for doing that haul because even at that time, my arms and my thighs were not the best. And I'm like, yo, you really did that. You know, I had to model the clothes in a way where you couldn't see my skin condition. I just did a Fashion Nova haul a few weeks ago. And the growth, y'all, because I modeled those clothes in a way where you can possibly see my skin condition. I had my arms out for real for the whole video. Just like I do now. I've come a long way having my arms out and being comfortable and being basically saying I don't give a fuck what nobody thinks. Because I went through a depressing stage where I felt like, damn, this is so ugly. This is not cute. This is painful. This is like, imagine just living. I smell my armpits. That can get to your head, you know? That can get to your head, as a woman especially. And my husband's like, I mean, I don't smell what you're smelling. You know what I mean? Like, he'll tell me like if he smells something, but I think he did that one time. He's like, yeah, I can smell it. But he was like up on me. I could smell the pus, but that was one time, and I had this for 10 years. And I asked a family member of mine that's not going to bite their tongue or hold their tongue for their not name body. I said, he came into my job the one day, and I said, well, my brother. And I said, you know, do you, like, come here. Like, I had him, like, do you smell my arm? He's like, no, you know, I'll tell y'all, you smell like deodorant. I'm like, okay. So here's my trick. I sometimes will rub deodorant in places where I don't have wounds, or if it's too painful and it's too much, because the deodorant will clog your wounds up, so don't do it. This is just me speaking on myself. What I would do is put the deodorant in, like, on the shirt part where your armpit kind of go. And I don't wear tight shirts. You want to wear loose shirts. Or I try not to wear too many tight shirts at all because it's painful. Put the deodorant on the part where your armpit goes and put it like around. Sometimes I'll rub deodorant here and here, and just, you know, just to make myself feel a little better. But honestly, there's nothing I can do. There's nothing you can do. I mean, what? Pray. And basically, I just had to get to a place where I really didn't give a shit about what anybody thought. Like, nobody ever said anything to me, but just me thinking about what people, like, I would be walking somewhere with a tank top and people would be looking at my arms, you know? Or when I had my bandages on, they'll just look. Because you can see, you know what I'm saying? You can see it. But I've gotten to a place where I'm comfortable in my skin. I'm very comfortable in my skin. I'm very confident. I'm a beautiful woman, beautiful Black woman at that. I do want to work on my health for 2023. So I do want to start exercising and working out, but then oftentimes I do get into my feelings here and there because I'm kind of like, damn, how am I supposed to work out and I can't even use my arms or lift my arms or anything? So my thought process was, even though I'm so against medication, my toddler, my thought process was along the lines of, okay, take the antibiotic, work out. That way, there's a possibility that the antibiotic will allow your body to do a lot more, and it may possibly heal you. If it don't, try to do something like try to cross like this and do sit-ups, or cross like this and still move your legs like you're doing jumping jacks. So there's ways around it, but I think that a lot of times I would just get into my feelings like, yo, I can't even lift my arm or use my arms to work out, where there's stuff that I can do. So if you want me to record my health journey in 2023, just comment down below, just comment health or something. If you want me to continue updating you guys on my skin condition, comment down below, update. If you have any questions, feel free to post them down below and I'll answer in another video. Or if it's a question that you don't want to broadcast in front of the world, go ahead and message me on my Facebook, LifeAsTeeElle, and I'll get back to you. But I do want to show y'all my arms now because this video is getting kind of long. So again, it's very painful to lift them. So again, if you do not like to see things like this, hit the like button, subscribe, comment down below, and click off. But this is what Hidradenitis Suppurativa looks like, and I would consider my condition pretty mild. So let me get up on y'all. This is my current, and you can see it's kind of draining. This is what I'm currently going through, and you can see why if I close my arm and I lift it off, you can see it pulling, and you can see why it's extremely painful. Okay, this is the raw and this is the real. This is what this looks like. This is my skin condition. Okay, this is my left arm. Okay, here's my right arm. This arm isn't as bad. I actually just had one closed up here. It was a very small one. These are like some of the most painful ones here and in the back. But that is what Hidradenitis Suppurativa looks like. So yeah, I'm just going to, like I said, 2023, I'm focusing on my health. And of course, this is a part of it. So I'm just happy that I've gotten to a place where I'm comfortable. Not actually comfortable, but I'm mentally comfortable. I often call it acne inversion as well. And I do believe that a lot of my acne is a result of this as well. The things I put on my body, I'm gonna go see a dietitian. I'm getting on top of my stuff this year. I'm getting on top of it. I've already started. Your health is a part of self-care, okay? Self-care is not just making sure you stay out of depression and anxiety. Thank y'all so much for tuning into LifeAsTeeElle. I hope that you found this video very informative, and I hope that if you're a person that has the skin condition, that you found this video to be helpful and comforting to you. So yeah, thank y'all so much. Give this video a fat thumbs up, comment down below, subscribe if you enjoy the content, click that bell so you're notified each and every time I do post some content. Follow me on my social media platforms. The names are in the beginning and end of this video, as well as in the description box down below. And I'll catch you on the next video. I'm out. Peace. 'Cause I'm crazy and I'm sexy.